Are food shortages real, and are they coming to a town near you? Well, it looks like they've already started, and in this video, we're going to have a look at a very concerning report showing us 20 countries this year that are going into extreme hunger. Let's dive in. I made a video a couple of weeks ago that has sort of gone viral on Facebook that shared about what I believe is coming, which is pretty evident when you have a look at the research and what's going on in the world and the reports that are coming out, that there is going to be food shortages and energy shortages. Gas for heating, petrol for transportation, coal for running power plants to bring you electricity. There are going to be food and energy shortages. Now, this is a report that came out when 6th of June, so only a few days ago, 2 days ago. Hunger hotspots. This is by two major organizations that look at this. Now, I can't remember what they stand for, but that's okay. They are effectively, part of the United Nations. And what they are saying is that these are early warnings on acute food insecurity from June till September this year. There are 20 hunger hotspots where hunger is expected to worsen from June to September 2020. 20 countries around the world, right? And that's now, like this year. Guys, this is happening very, very quickly. These countries all have segments of the population facing IPC phase 5, catastrophic or catastrophe, or risk of deterioration towards catastrophic conditions, with a total of 750,000 people already facing starvation and death in the countries that we would expect: Ethiopia, Yemen, South Sudan, Somalia, and Afghanistan. Now, the craziest thing is that this is part of our world in 2022 is absolutely sickening to me. And it just shows us how manipulated and controlled and corrupt our political establishment really is. Because with the amount of technology that we have to be able to produce food and ship food around the world, that countries like this are still suffering, that three-quarters of a million people are already facing starvation, is absolutely disgusting and must change. But what is happening is that the conflict in Ukraine, compounding what is already a year of catastrophic hunger, is effectively spreading across the globe, transforming a series of terrible hunger crises that we already have into a global food crisis the world cannot afford. Okay? These countries are countries of very high concern. I'll also leave the report in the description. You can read more about this. You can download the entire report here. Countries of very high concern. Kenya's being added to the list. Now, aside conflict, climate shocks will continue to drive acute hunger in the outlook period from June to September 2022. And we have entered a new normal. I'm sick of hearing new normal, right? The new normal, this is not normal, and it shouldn't be normal, where frequent and recurring droughts, flooding, hurricanes, and cyclones decimate farming, drive displacement, and push millions to the brink in countries across the world. Now, in the video that I made a few weeks ago, I will link to it here on the corner or in the description. I talked about the timeline of how I see this playing out. I said this year, the developing nations, aka the 20 countries that are on this list, will, and we're going to look at this one being added, will suffer from food shortages this year, right? And we know that because not only is it the Ukraine conflict, where Ukraine and Russia are the greatest producers of wheat in the world, right? Russia is the #1 exporter of wheat. Ukraine, they call globally, and they're a very big country, obviously. Ukraine is the breadbasket of the world. So wheat, which is one of the staples of food across the planet, is obviously going to suffer. We already see what's happening with the ports of Mariupol in the Black Sea of Ukraine. They can't get the grain supplies out. The European leaders are negotiating with Putin saying, let the grain supplies out, please, we need the food. Right, and it's not actually got anything to do with Putin. It's everything to do with Ukraine having mined the ports to try and stop Russian vessels coming in. Now their vessels with grain can't leave, so there's a bit of a conflict there. But we've got the conflict in Ukraine. We already have these new normal, frequent and recurring droughts, flooding, hurricanes, cyclones. Plus, with the energy shortages that are coming, obviously with Russia, with gas and oil, and the price of oil going up as much as it is, shipping and logistics for food is going to increase as well. Now, remember, food is a commodity, okay? It is a business, it's a market, and it's all about supply and demand. And if you can't pay the price for food, they are literally destroying food. I'm reading reports about America, and predominantly coming out of America, where farmers are being subsidized, paid money to destroy their crops and their livestock. We're talking pigs, cows, chickens, destroy them because it's not financially viable. So we're told, and potentially that is the truth, that the markets have been manipulated and it's not financially viable for them to even send their produce to market. So with increasing energy prices, it's going to be more difficult to make a profit. Therefore, farmers are going to struggle, probably go out of business, be bought up by major corporations, Bill Gates and his mates, buying out the farmland. Therefore, the produce is not going to go onto the shelves, which means everyday consumers are not going to be able to eat. So this is a massive problem. Now, Sri Lanka, we know, is absolutely struggling. Peru right now is absolutely struggling. They have civil unrest. Pakistan right now has civil unrest. And you can Google all of these or check them out on YouTube. There's stuff happening in all of these countries that the civil unrest is leading to food shortages, and people are really struggling there. Now, the interesting thing is Ukraine and Zimbabwe have been added to the list of hotspot countries, including Angola, Lebanon, Madagascar, Mozambique. Countries in Africa are struggling. And again, I believe that is by design. We don't have to believe it. We can see that it's been done. But the fact that Ukraine has been added as a hotspot for global hunger in 2022 is a really big concern. I read another report that Ukraine's economy is predicted to tank 45% this year. Okay, so half their GDP. They're going to half their GDP. And obviously, they are in a military conflict right now in their ground, so it's to be expected. But this now is the first European-based country to be added to the list of hotspot countries. Okay, and what will be the ripple-on effect from this military operation? We will see. But that's it. That's where we're looking at. 2 days ago, being released from FAO, which I'll have a look at what these are. These are Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. So it's the United Nations and the World Food Program of the United Nations have released this to say, guys, heads up. Now, here's my prediction. It starts here in these 20 hotspot countries based on, again, energy concerns driving up price, based on the conflict in Ukraine, and based on climate shocks. Yes, it will start in the developing nations, but this is going to trickle out probably 2024, I would suggest, next year potentially, but definitely 2024, we will start to see food shortages increasing in Western nations. Maybe sooner, we'll see how we go. So now is a good time to grow food. And if you are interested in that, follow, subscribe, hang out with me here. Permacare and the Tribes United is the mission that I am on, to support more people to get on the land. I'm currently coming from my tiny home on 3 acres of land in an eco-village in Russia. I moved here a year ago with my family, and we are in a 300 family established eco-village, growing food and just being ready for the future and being prepared for what is to come, because this is what is to come. So if you want to learn more about that, Permacare, you can subscribe here if you're following on YouTube. I'll leave links in the description where you can join us on Telegram, and I look forward to supporting you on the journey. But be ready for this, okay? Be ready for this. This is real. This is coming to a town near you, and I want you to be prepared as much as possible. Scotty Z, sending love from my family to yours. Subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.